was just going to talk about like how many building numbers I'd make in a particular game. And so hopefully you checked out the other videos about how many stables you're going to build, how many ranges, barracks, etc. We didn't go into the siege workshop, how many siege workshops you're going to make. It's usually like for most civs you just make like 2 or 3 in the beginning, and then with like the siege heavy civs, um, Slavs or something like that, right? Or Mongols even. You might make more, make like 4 or 5 siege workshops early on just to get your like really powerful siege out. Um, so so yeah, that's kind of an explanation of siege. And again, if you're going for like 4 or 5 siege workshops, usually that means that you're not building as many ranges or stables because that's where you're gonna sink a lot of gold usually. So just kind of be aware of that. You can't like a civ like Cumans, like you wouldn't want to go for um, the Cumans is the one we get paladins. Does Cumans get paladins? I thought they do. Like I said, like Cumans, you're not going to go for 4 stable paladins, 6 ranges, and then try to go siege onager. Like if you want to get the siege onager, you got to make a compromise on your paladins or your cav archer. Also, Cumans again, you need to be you all need to read the tech trees if you're not familiar with the civs, just so you understand some things. Because like Cumans is a civ that actually doesn't open even paladins. They open cav archer or hussar because the cav archer make 80% faster, which is like they're made insanely quick, and it's usually easier to snipe villagers when you have range than when you don't have range. So again, that's just kind of like a quick tip. Cumans don't usually start paladin; they start cav archer or hussar. Hussar make quickly as well. Also, because the cav archer are made quicker, you don't need to make as many ranges. Or I mean, you could make as many ranges and make a lot of units quickly, but it's just up to y'all. Y'all have to kind of have to figure out how those civs are. You're gonna have to make up your own strategies once you get a little bit better. But feel free in the beginning with like a civ like Cumans or something like that. Feel free to open paladin just to, you know, treat it like a normal civ. Don't try to, don't use the specialties of it. That's fine early on, just for the practice. Anyways, so we'll just go through some civs. So Britons. Okay, so Britons doesn't get good, like particularly good cavalry. So maybe we open 2 stables for the rush, and then we make, again, maybe 10 cavalier total, 5 from each stable. We rush, and that's again 10 cavalier. That's only around 1,000 gold, right? 750, right? So not spending a whole lot of gold there. We still have 9,000 left. Let's say they are a cavalry civ like Franks. All right, by default there, we're basically going to go for 6 barracks here, right? We want to make those helps just so we can counter those paladins. Um, so yeah. All right, so we got our barracks numbers. Again, we're assuming against Franks. Okay, and so here's one of the cases where they actually do get heavy CA. Again, CA don't benefit from Parthian tactics. You could go for CA here, honestly, but I feel like the DPS is a little bit higher now. We talked about the DPS of the units, but now that Arbalest, the range is drastically longer for the Arbalest, the DPS of the Arbalest might actually be higher 1-to-1 in the beginning, just because of how they get the extra shots in. So I'd probably say in this particular case that Arbalists are the superior unit. Again, they lack mobility, but um, they're probably more cost efficient in the long run. And so again, this is a case where, if you guys know Britons, they get longbowmen too. So it's like, well, maybe I just go, some stables, some halbs, and then just go into castles, go for my longbowmen right away. You could try that, but I think that it's a bit risky because just opening with 2 stables with 10 cavalier and halbs is you're giving them a lot of map control, because if they just make some, well, basically whatever unit they make, they can basically counter halberdiers. Because even if they go for paladins right away, the paladins will kill well, they'll fight fine against the halberdiers like early on because the numbers are basically 1-to-1. But anyways, so here it's really about comparing how the Arbalists compare to the Longbowmen. And so here you see that they have 6 attack, 5 range, 40 HP. And Longbowmen are 7 attack, 40 HP, 6 range, 1 pierce armor. So Longbowmen definitely are the better unit here, and they are actually cheaper gold-wise. But the thing is that if you don't make any ranges early on, then they're going to take a lot of map control, which could be potentially very bad later on. It could be potentially very bad. I would advise that usually you probably make at least 3 ranges with Britons. The other thing to keep in mind is that the ranges work faster. So if you go for castles right away, you're going to be quite far behind, like in military units compared to the enemy usually. Whereas if you go for Arbalists, then you'll be sitting good. My kind of rule of thumb for like comparing castle units to comparing going for a castle unit versus like a standard unit is that for every castle you make, in general, you're going to be around 15 units behind if you had just gone for like a standard unit, like from the ranges or state rules. There are some exceptions, like for example, Ethiopians, the shuttle warriors make in 3 seconds. So like once the castle's made, you will be behind again by like 15 units. So again, I guess that's kind of the truth. Like when the castle is made, at that point you'll be behind by 15 units or something like that. Some of the shuttle warrior is made in 3 seconds. So the thing is that you'll be behind 15 units, but probably within like a minute you'll actually catch up because of how fast the shuttle warriors are made. But for most civs, that's actually not the case. Most civs, the castle unit is made. Usually it's made quicker than the stable unit, range unit, or barrack unit, but it's not made made twice as fast. So so yeah. So you'll usually just continue to fall farther and farther behind in military if if the enemy is going for the standard building units. But sometimes, like again, going for the castle unit is about getting better trades with it. And so sometimes by going for the castle unit, you're going to be able to catch up in military just from more cost-effective fights. So anyways, we're back up in Britain. So again, 2 stables here. We're against Franks. We'll go for 6 hubs, and then maybe we go for some map control. We want to go for Arbalist, right? You go if you want to get a lot of map control, maybe go for 6 range Arbalist or something like that, right? Again, what you're gonna want to do eventually is transition into Longbowmen once you get the castles up, but start with the ranges, and then obviously we're always gonna want to add siege. So if you're against like elephants, Heavy Scorpion could be great. Heavy Scorpion does bonus damage versus elephants. If you're against other range units, like it's a Britain's War or something like that, Capped Rams can be good because they can soak a lot of damage. And then well, we said we were against Franks. So against Franks, Capped Ram really doesn't do shit because the thing is that Paladins destroy Capped Rams, and so do Axemen. So yeah, we probably avoid that. But against Franks, you know, Scorpions probably could do okay. And Onagers could always be nice for sniping the could be good for sniping the throwing Axemen. And then lastly, again, from the castles, we can make trebs. The Warwolf trebs are good as well. So as far as our gold count goes, 1k gold here, 0 gold here. If we go for 6 ranges, again, we can assume we spend probably, if we're going for Arbalest, again, it's like 4,000 gold, it's like 6,000 gold if you go for Cav Archer, but 4,000 or so for Arbalest. So 4,000, so now we put 5,000 gold in. And then maybe we again go for like excuse me, 3 siege workshops, and for each siege workshop, you don't usually make 15 units from a siege workshop because it's just the units are so expensive. Usually it's better just to make more siege workshops if you want a lot of units. But as a whole, like if you make for every like 3 siege workshops or so, it's around 1,000 to 2,000 gold depending on which unit you're going for. So so yeah, but then you're gonna add castles in. Excuse me, and then make a lot of trebs and longbowmen. So then you'll start spending gold that way. The other thing is too is that the units are made 20% faster, so you could add 20% more on the gold, so it's another 1,000 gold. Yeah. Once you get castles up, the unit unless you have a really bad map, the number of buildings you make isn't going to be like extremely crucial, because once you get castles up, you should be able to hold for a long enough period where you can max out, even if they have more army than you. Usually, if you get castles up, you can still like defend the castles. Like they can't fight under your castles because it's just too like you probably have the hill advantage, and you have the castle fire, so it's not that big of a deal. But in some cases, it can be, and that's again where you want to make extra buildings. All right, let's go for a couple more, and then I'll end the video, and then we'll do a couple more, and then I'll be done with that discussion. Okay, back to, I think we said Huns, but I'll just go through it quickly again. So again, Huns, good stable civ, good knight civ, so we'll go for 4 stables, that's 4k gold. If we're against a, like Franks, or a Hunsmere or something like that, maybe 6 barracks helps. And then for Cav Archer, again, 1,000 gold for range. We go for 6 ranges. Again, it's a little bit less because of the cheaper Cav Archer, so 6 ranges, and that puts us right around like 9,000 gold. And then we can put the rest of the gold into Siege Ram, and then maybe make some trebs as well. So that kind of just covers Huns. You know, the one thing I'm kind of uncertain about is like, what if they're not a paladin civ, right? What if they're not making cavalry? Do you still go for helms? That's actually a really good question. To be honest, I'm not actually sure of the answer to that, because the nice thing about helms, if you did make them, because let's say they make helps to counter your helps. Like uh, let's say they made helps to counter your paladins. Is it worth it to make helps in order to tank to work as like kind of like a meat shield to protect your paladins? You know, that's actually a really a good thought. Because like, hmm, I would imagine it is like if you're fighting helps against. I think it is honestly in the beginning because the thing is that in the beginning you usually don't run out of food and wood right away. It's gold is usually the limiting resource like in the beginning of the game, and if you have helps in front, like you should be able to span, you know, you should be able to make quite a lot of them, and by keeping your paladins alive, it'll allow you to, yeah, I don't know. But then you might ask, is it even better to just make two-handed swordsmen? You know what I'm saying? Because two-handed swordsmen will tank more damage than, well, actually, will they? I don't think they will. They actually have less. They'll tank more. They will tank more archer fire, but they won't tank as much. The the their normal armor is the same as the help, so they actually die just as fast as physical units. Um, but yeah, you know that's just an interesting thing. You know, again, deathmatch isn't really that. It hasn't really been that fleshed out, so I think that's one of those questions. But I actually would think that helps would be good just as like a meat shield again because you have the extra food and wood in the beginning. Like why not make them against their helps? If anything, they're gonna trade one for one, right? It's gonna be an even trade, helps against helps, right? Yeah, you know. And then if they make more and more helps, I mean, yeah, they're gonna add a lot of helps. I don't know. I feel like they could be good though. I definitely feel like they could be good just working as a meat shield. Anyways, we'll move on from that thought there. Okay, Indians. Again, camels are going to be around the same cost as paladins. They're actually cheaper, but Indians again, um, Imperial camels is a pretty good unit. So I would say probably go for 4 stable Imperial camel, and then you look over at their barracks. Again, this is one of those questions, or maybe it isn't a question. Maybe we just go for default helps no matter what. Now if we get them, um, again if they're cavalry civ, you go for helps. If they're not, maybe we still go for 2 barracks helps. You know, just to fight their helps if they have them, or 2 barracks champs. You know, they get seems like they get decent champs. I don't know, do they? Now they're missing the armor upgrade, but still, you can still make them. Okay, and then lastly, how many ranges we make. So again, they don't get Arbalest, they get the heavy CA, um, and they get Parthian Tactics Thumb Ring, so that's good. They get all the upgrades, that's good. Um, they don't get Heavy Scorpion, so that's kind of out of the question. Onager, we're always going to make Siege, like we said, so that's probably, it's kind of actually negligible. And then lastly, we kind of just remembered, okay, they get the Elephant Archers. And I think the Elephant Archers have pretty much the same DPS as basically the same DPS as the Heavy Cav Archer, with the exception that, and you know, the other comparison is that they have a lot more HP, a lot more Pierce armor, not as much mobility. So again, this is again a question of, do I need these HCA out quick to get the map control? You know, and maybe I want that extra mobility, right? Because if you just go for elephant archers right away, you're going to fall behind in military numbers because you're going for the castles. Um, and the other thing is that you also be worried that if you go for just the castles right away, better players, I think, well, I don't know if the game is at that level yet, but better players would get monks out, and you don't get heresy. So you can't prevent them from converting your elephants. I'm not saying that making a lot of monks is maybe the best idea, but it could still be decent. So that's something to think about. I think if you need the map control, you could again maybe go 3 range, 4 range CA, transition into elephants, right? It just depends on the matchup. I think again, the elephant archers are great if you can start making a lot of them. I think they probably do quite good, but I don't know if they're worth making right away. All right, let's look at Berbers, and then I'll end the video, and then we'll do another set of them. I know these are kind of like this might seem like I'm just talking on and on. If it is kind of like, if you're not getting what I say, you might need to like go back and rewatch it. I apologize again for like the quality. I really don't like making like videos like of this quality, but the thing is that I just don't have a lot of incentive right now to make like super high quality videos, and I don't have a lot of time either, so it's hard. I'm not very good at editing videos, so I just try to get some stuff out to help people. All right, let's go for Berbers here. So Berbers do get cheaper stable units, but for the, again, maybe that means one more stable or something like that. Yeah. All right, so Camel Archer again. The Camel Archer is better than the normal cavalry archer. It has a higher DPS. It regenerates. It has higher. I think the HP is the same. Higher DPS. Looks like it might have better armor, and it regenerates HP. So, but again, gotta remember, if you go for the castle units, you're gonna fall behind military earlier. So it might be a transition unit. It might be a 3 range, into castles. But if you have a good map, say a back gold or something like that, map's fine, whatever. Maybe it's better to just go for the castles right away. Get your best army out first. Because again, you only have a finite amount of gold in the beginning, and if you invest in cav archers right away instead of the cam archers, well, again, you're gonna have a better initial push, but somebody that goes for cam archers right away, once they mass them up to the same level, the same numbers, which again they should be able to do as long as they're not fighting too much, right? They might be able to push back or whatever with a stronger army, or we'll definitely have a stronger army, right? More gold efficient for sure. All right, so to start, um, we'll open 2 stables and go for Cavalier to raid. I wouldn't advise going for heavy camel riders to raid here. They're just not going to be as strong um, for raiding, at least for raiding purposes. At least they just have less attack. So I'd go for the Cavalier. And then yeah, you could go for 5 stables here because they have cheaper stables if you want. Here's one thing that's quite interesting. So they don't get halberdier. So they do get the armor upgrades. They don't get halberdier. So this could be actually one of those cases. Remember, I said in a previous video that you open just 2 stables, 2 barracks. Maybe in this case, I'm not really sure. Again, this is kind of an untested thing. Maybe in this case, you just open 4 stables. And then with your next couple stables, if they're going for paladins or something like that, just go camels. Because I think that's the thing as well, is that if they're going for paladins in the beginning, do you really have like maybe camel riders is just like you can send the cavaliers for raiding, but then maybe you just switch into camels here. Just go for 4 stable camels, right? Again, there's nothing set in stone with any of these civs. I'm just kind of talking through some of the strategy here. But again, maybe camel riders do better defensively here as well than pikemen because they're more mobile. They have the bonus damage. Pikemen probably do more bonus. Oh, I don't know if they do actually. I think camel riders actually might do very close to the same amount of damage. Plus they, again, this could be a case where you go 4 stables in the start instead of 2 stables, and then just avoid the barracks maybe here. Again, you could also make an argument for champion because I said before that champion actually, if you're able to mass enough of them, does decent against paladin. And the thing is, if you go for camel and cavalier but don't make pikemen, right? Then I think most of the paladin civs actually get halberdier as well. Paladin and halb versus camel will do quite well. So maybe this is one of those cases where you actually need to make champion or something like champion camel or something like that. Again, it's kind of an unexplored, uh, kind of an untested thing. So I'm not really too sure about it, but that could be something to test out for yourselves. And if I do test it later, I'll put it in a future video. But that's something maybe to think about. Because I think, yeah, most of these paladin civs get helps. I think all of it do actually. It's kind of sick. It's unfair, dude. It's unfair. Paladin help, paladin help. Yeah, I think they all do. Except humans have not in red us totters. Anyways, okay, so we said 4 stables. We're not really sure number of barracks here. Maybe a couple for champions. Seems like pikemen probably not really worth it, but and then again, cav archer. We said that maybe if you want map control, go 3 range CA. Otherwise, if you have a really decent map, if you have a good map or something like that, then or they're like a slow civ. Let's say they're not rushing you, basically get free castles up. Then you just go for castles. And then lastly, siege. It's one of those, again, it's one of those things. If you do 3 ranges, um, maybe you're against elephants, right? Maybe you go 4 stables, camels, and then you go for five Siege Workshop Scorpion instead of going for the ranges at all. Just go for the Scorpion. Scorpion's gonna do better, right? And then you can always mix an Onager. Bombard Cannon's gonna be really good for countering Onager. Scorpion again is gonna be good against the melee units. Even does good against the range units as well. Onager is going to be really good against range units. It's going to do really good against rams. Can do good against Onager can do good against anything, basically. So I'd always recommend making Onagers. Bombard cannons, it's all about unit control with them. They can be your best friend, they can be your worst enemy. Just gotta micro them well. Same thing with scorpions. Like best friend, worst enemy. If you don't micro scorpions well, the Onager will eat you alive. But then eventually you probably want to get the cam larger here. Anyways, I'm gonna kind of conclude this video here, and I'll talk about a couple more civs next game, and then after that, I will. What will I do? After that, I'm gonna talk a little. I'll actually kind of like simulate kind of the start of a game, and yeah. All right, we'll check you guys in the next video. Peace.